Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. It's Thursday, the 16th day of May. It is National Do Something Good for Your Neighbor Day. We have some awesome neighbors.
We have amazing
We should do
neighbors.
something good for them. Also, National Love a Tree Day, National Piercing Day, National Sea Monkey Day, and National Biographers Day. All of those things happening. Also, it's a Thursday, so we have Dear John Letters. Going to be visiting with a professional today because it's a pretty important letter. Person asking about divorce. I don't want to be the one to tell you whether you should or shouldn't do that. So I'm going to pawn this one off to a pro. I've got DaphneDeMarneffe, PhD. She's got a new book called The Rough Patch, Marriage and the Art of Living Together. We're going to chat with her. I'm excited to do that here later in the program. And I want to do a shout out today, Heidi.
Okay.
Got a young man who sent a message to us through Facebook. Joshua, he and another coworker, they work at a restaurant together. James Brown and Joshua Austin. They listen every day, and they said that we really make their day go by really well.
Is that?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for listening.
Sent us a message through our Facebook page. You can do the same thing, and you can also chime in on today's Dear John letter at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.
If you have a drug problem, don't let it ruin your life. You can be in treatment as soon as tomorrow, and you can start to get clean in as little as 7 days. Take the first step to get drugs out of your life at timeforrehab.com. Your insurance may cover everything, so you really have nothing to lose. Timeforrehab.com. Start your new life. You deserve it. Learn more at timeforrehab.com. That's timeforrehab.com.
Now, surveys and studies and such brought to you by WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com. A new survey found that 40% of Americans have a boss who is younger than they are. Have you ever been in that situation where your boss was younger than you?
No, I've never had a boss younger than me.
I was a boss that was younger than people. I remember when that happened a couple of times, actually. And I'll give you the first example is when I was 16 years old. I worked at a newspaper, and I had interns. I had college interns when I was 16. Mm-hmm. I was like, wait a minute. There is something wrong with this picture. But today is, I guess the survey here says 40% of Americans have a boss who's younger than they are. I've got a link to that story in the show notes at johnandheidishow.com.
The average household has thousands of dollars in credit card debt. If you find yourself in that position and you're making minimum payments, you could be in debt for a long time. Make sure you have the very best card with the very best rates at bettercreditcards.net. We work with different banks and different credit card companies who put out their best offers to earn your business. See if we can help you get a better credit card at bettercreditcards.net, bettercreditcards.net. That's bettercreditcards.net.
And this is Your Brain on Drugs, brought to you by timeforrehab.com. A booze-fueled argument between a longtime couple prompted a woman to allegedly tear off her boyfriend's colostomy bag.
Ick.
7 p.m. on a Monday. This happened. 66-year-old resident and a 54-year-old resident. The two were dating for 20 years. They live at the same address. She got mad at him because he was drunk, and I guess she yanked the bag off there. So it doesn't sound like a good thing to do. Didn't specify the number of shots. He had been doing shots of Fireball cinnamon whiskey.
Yuck.
Doesn't say how many shots he had, but whatever it was enough for the thing to just kind of go wild and crazy, and
Yuck.
Things didn't go well. So the lady who yanked the bag off was the one that got charged with domestic battery. But it's a bad thing. Don't do that. It's the kind of thing that happens when your brain is on drugs. Now, big screen, little screen, brought to you by ChannelSurferTV.com. Actress Rosario Dawson posed topless on Instagram for her 40th birthday. So there you go. You going to do something special for your birthday this year like that?
No.
I'm just kidding. I didn't think you would. She's not even on Instagram. Avengers Endgame passed Titanic now, second highest grossing film of all time. And it's, I think, chomping at the heels of the number one as well. What is the number one? It's got the blue people. What's that called?
The blue people?
Yeah,
Avatar?
Avatar. There you go. So I think it's getting close to that. And Court TV is coming back.
I could think of was the Smurfs.
Yeah, it wasn't the Smurfs.
Is there a new Smurfs?
No. Court TV is coming back on the air after a 10-year hiatus. So they had Court TV, and then it went away for 10 years. Now it's coming back.
I loved Court TV.
So apparently, I don't know, 10 years.
Apparently other people did as well, because I used to watch that channel all
there's a lot
the
of
time.
fun stuff on there. That's going to do it for today's Big Screen, Little Screen, brought to you by ChannelSurferTV.com.
If you can't have a drink without it leading to another drink and another drink, maybe it's time to get help. There are programs designed to help take alcohol out of your life for good at timeforrehab.com. Don't let a drinking problem spill over into other areas of your life. Get help to quit drinking and start living the life you truly deserve at timeforrehab.com. Your insurance may cover everything. Learn more at timeforrehab.com. That's timeforrehab.com.
Now, your scoop of the day, brought to you by BetterCreditCards.net. A group of malnourished lions have been rescued from the Albanian zoo. There was a zoo in Albania. They became famous a few years ago when they had a chimpanzee who was smoking cigarettes and making all kinds of waves on the internet because people kept taking photos of this chimp that was smoking. Well, now they had a bunch of malnourished lions. So this zoo in Albania is probably not the top spot.
Probably not the top-notch zoo in the world.
And another zoo is in the news.
Giving their animals cigarettes, not feeding the other ones.
Exactly. In other zoo news, a video has gone viral of a sea otter dunking a basketball at a zoo in Oregon. His handlers taught him to dunk by giving him a salmon every time he jumped through the hoop. So then they just kept doing that, and eventually he was dunking before you know it. Cool. So if you're trying to train your sea otter, now you know what to do. R. Kelly's lawyers argued in court that he ignored his accuser's lawsuit because he can't read. What? Are you serious?
When you get documents, you find somebody who can read them to you.
Yeah, and I just
don't buy that at all.
Britney Spears, her family, believes her ex-manager, Sam Lufty, is behind the death threats that she's been receiving. So that's crazy. Uber, a lot of folks that were super excited because of their stock that hit last Friday. Well, then it apparently kind of fizzled because it says Uber launched their IPO of their stock last Friday, and it's being called the most disappointing IPO ever.
Okay.
Well, that's not good. So the Russian government is demanding that NASA explain why the International Space Station smells like alcohol. What are you guys doing up there?
I would have to do something to keep myself awake if that was my job.
Yeah, you're up there in the
Just up there
space
staring
station.
at the stars.
Doing shots.
Probably quiet. I doubt they're playing any cool music.
Oh, they get to play whatever they want. I think they have access to every song in the world. But I think we all do, too, if we have the internet. So anyway, Russian government wondering why the space station smells like alcohol, and they're asking NASA to explain this. Kim Kardashian has now helped get 17 inmates released from prison in the past year, and she's planning to launch on a full-on career as a lawyer now. So there are people who, some were like wrongfully accused, and some were...
I think that's great.
I think it's cool that she's doing something that is meaningful to a lot of people. So
and
I think
she's working directly with the president, which is awesome.
I think it's interesting. So I've got a link to that story if you want to read all about that. Lauren Sanchez, she and Jeff Bezos are dating now. He's the dude from Amazon. Remember him? Mm-hmm. So it says she told friends that she and Jeff are trying to keep a low profile, but they've been at like every upscale...
Yeah, that's not how you keep a low profile.
Yeah, every upscale event that's happened in New York City. In the last week, they've had like 7 different appearances at big, galas and things.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this
We're just trying to keep it hush-hush, she said to the media. I don't know. I mean, to each their own. And then we're going to talk about this for a second because I think this is really sad. I don't know all the details, but Tamar Braxton, she recently just won Big Brother. She said that she didn't have time to attend her 24-year-old niece's funeral. Her niece, Lauren, died of a heart condition. I think that's really sad. And I don't know what she had going on. And I understand. I'm not trying to judge because she may have had obligations that she couldn't get out of. But boy, oh boy, that there are people online being really mean about that.
Well, I don't know. I think you rearrange no matter what.
Yeah.
If it's you want to be there for your sibling.
And for it wasn't a sibling. This was her niece.
It was her niece, but it would have been her sibling that is still alive that
her
needs
sibling's
your support.
child. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now I understand what you're saying. But I think it's really sad how mean people have been to her online because, again, this is not something that you can plan around.
I'm sorry. I would, even if you were scheduled to film a movie, there's been a death in my family. and I need to be gone. It doesn't matter what you're doing. I don't care how important it is.
Rearrange.
Unless you're on trial for murder or something, you can't get away. You show up for the funeral.
Well, I've got a link to this story if you want to read all about it. It's in the show notes at johnandheidishow.com.
Before you know it, Christmas will be here. Are you ready? If you plan to use a credit card while shopping, make sure you have the very best credit card for you. It's free to click around and see what we can do for you at bettercreditcards.net. We have options from many different banks and different credit card companies who put out their best offers to earn your business. See if we can help you get a better credit card at bettercreditcards.net. Bettercreditcards.net. That's bettercreditcards.net.
And it's time right now for Dear John Letters.
Dear John, dear John.
And Heidi, you get to sit this one out today, all right?
I'm fine with that.
And I have called in the big guns because this is a very important topic. I got a Dear John letter here about whether somebody should get divorced or not. Now, I am not qualified. They even say in the Dear John letter they wanted some professional advice. Hope you guys understand, we are not professionals. But the good news is we know some professionals. And I actually called in a favor today from DaphneDeMarneffe, Ph.D. She's a psychologist and the author of a book called The Rough Patch, Marriage and the Art of Living Together. So this is exactly in her wheelhouse. So I thought, you know what? Let's chat with her and get some really good professional advice. So first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Again, thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us. We have a thing we do every Thursday called Dear John Letters, and usually they're silly little things that we can answer, but this one's a really important topic. So I wanted to read this to you and get your professional advice. So here's the Dear John letter that we got for this week. It says, Dear John, I'm struggling with a decision and could use some professional advice. I've been married 15 years. We have 2 children and have just grown apart. There's no physical abuse. Neither of us have cheated. We've just grown apart. But I've been thinking it's important to stay together for the sake of my kids. But should I teach them that a loveless marriage is okay? What advice do you have for me? Signed, divorce, or not? So we're going to hand this one over to you. What advice do you have?
Well, I first want to say that the problem that the person is talking about is quite common and very understandable in terms of, having kids, having jobs, going through all the different busyness of life, not having time to connect, not having time to really sit and talk and be close and develop the closeness. And a lot of people end up in this boat when life is so busy and they just find day to day, month to month, year to year, they start pulling apart. And the book, The Rough Patch, is really about when you get to that point. What do you do? So the first thing I'd say is read the book. It talks about when you decide to stay, when you decide to leave, and how to think about that. But I'll just say to your listeners that the biggest problem for people with kids is that they put their focus on caring for their children, which is a very wonderful thing to do, but they stop caring for each other in that same sort of tender, responsive way because life's busy, they're both adults, they both have roles, and so that in subtle ways they start turning away from each other and not giving them each other the kind of loving attention that at an earlier point in the relationship was natural, right? And so part of it is to figure out, can you get back to that point? And I would say there's 2 things to think about. One is try to have compassion and curiosity about yourself and your feelings and about the other person. What's going on here? Why have we come to this? What are you feeling? What am I feeling? And really try to find the time and the emotional energy to explore that together. You have to go through that before you can even know if it's possible to get close again.
Well, thank you so much. That's way better advice than I would have had. Again, folks, if you would like to chime in, we've got a link to this on our Facebook page, too, so you can chime in with your advice. Again, visiting right now with DaphneDeMarneffe. She has a Ph.D., and she's got a new book out called The Rough Patch, Marriage and the Art of Living Together. I suppose, doing what you do, you probably see a lot of the same things happen over and over again. Is that kind of where you got the idea for this book?
Yeah, I'm a couple therapist and an individual therapist, and I talk to a lot of people, and people struggle. Everyone struggles. And this is one of the messages I wanted to get across. So often in this sort of social media culture, we have this simplistic notion, but people are trying to have long, intimate relationships over longer lives than ever before. We have an ideal of intimacy. We want true love. We want deep emotional connection, and that's very hard to do over the course of a long time with all the complications of our own psychologies in our lives. And so I'm really trying to normalize everyone goes through struggles in a relationship, and then I'm trying to lead people through a sort of stepwise approach and a way of thinking about how to deal with those struggles in a way that can actually bring them closer instead of get them feeling more alone and detached.
Well, I appreciate you taking some time to chat with us. The book is available right now. Where can folks find this?
Well, it's really available anywhere that books are sold.
Well, we're going to make it really easy to find. We'll throw a link in our show notes. Daphne, thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us today.
Oh, thank you.
Again, the book is called The Rough Patch, Marriage and the Art of Living Together. I have a link to that in the show notes at johnandheidishow.com. And if you'd like to chime in with your advice for divorce or not, you can find the Dear John letter at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.
If you have a drug problem, don't let it ruin your life. You can be in treatment as soon as tomorrow, and you can start to get clean in as little as 7 days. Take the first step to get drugs out of your life at timeforrehab.com. Your insurance may cover everything, so you really have nothing to lose. Timeforrehab.com. Start your new life. You deserve it. Learn more at timeforrehab.com. That's timeforrehab.com.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Teddy bears are named for Teddy Roosevelt. And
I knew that.
because they did so darn well with that, toy companies tried to create a Taft bear as well.
That didn't work.
His legacy, Teddy Roosevelt's legacy, is continues to live on. Teddy bears are still a thing to this day. They tried to replicate the success, creating Billy Possum. It was related to the marsupial that was served at the banquet following his election. Apparently that's what he had. William Taft had a possum. That sounds kind of interesting. Anyway, it served as an anti-teddy symbol featuring songs, picture books, and more. It never took off like the teddy bear. So if you don't have a Billy Possum, don't feel bad. Nobody else does either.
The average household has thousands of dollars in credit card debt. If you find yourself in that position and you're making minimum payments, you could be in debt for a long time. Make sure you have the very best card with the very best rates at bettercreditcards.net. We work with different banks and different credit card companies who put out their best offers to earn your business. See if we can help you get a better credit card at bettercreditcards.net, bettercreditcards.net. That's bettercreditcards.net.
Now, fear this. Time for fun with phobias. Automatonophobia. Automatonophobia. What do you think that would be?
I have no clue.
It is a fear of anything that falsely represents a sentient being. So if you're afraid of a ventriloquist dummy,
Oh, okay.
or an animatronic doll or a wax statue. So there are some people that are afraid of those kind of things, like dummies that, are supposedly talking, but it's not. It's the ventriloquist. I don't understand why you'd be afraid of that, but I get it if, some people are. So if you are, that's automatonophobia. Today's fun with phobias.
If you can't have a drink without it leading to another drink and another drink, maybe it's time to get help. There are programs designed to help take alcohol out of your life for good at timeforrehab.com. Don't let a drinking problem spill over into other areas of your life. Get help to quit drinking and start living the life you truly deserve at timeforrehab.com. Your insurance may cover everything. Learn more at timeforrehab.com. That's timeforrehab.com.
Now, some weird news brought to you by WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com. We head to Florida for a very interesting story here. By the way, today's weird news and moment of duh are interchangeable because they're both weird and they're both not that smart. There was a convenience store that became a crime scene when a shopper accidentally discharged a gun.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there's surveillance video showing how a man got shot at a cash register.
Oh, no.
Says the video shows the victim checking out at a cash register when his wife had a concealed carry permit and she had a loaded Derringer 2-shot handgun in her purse. Well, she placed the purse on the counter. The bag fell on the floor and the gun went off. The victim flinched and fell to the ground. It's because the bullet hit him. As the bullet struck the victim's lower right shin. The gun was located inside the wife's purse, and a hole was discovered in the side of the purse. So something from the purse.
That is exactly why you don't carry your weapon
like
in your purse.
No, and
such a bad idea.
The sad thing is, there's a bunch of stuff in there, and then something in there is what pulled the trigger. Could have been a tube of lipstick or something.
Right, because guns don't just go off.
No.
But That is why you don't
do that.
Keep it in your
It's a
purse.
bad idea.
You appendix carry.
Yeah.
You appendix carry, John.
Heidi will show you how to do that. Reach out to her. That's our weird news for today, brought to you by WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com.
John and Heidi.
Now your moment of duh, brought to you by FunkyMonkeyShirts.com. A 70-year-old Florida motorist. Keep that age in mind, 70.
Okay.
Keep that in mind. Florida motorist, 70 years old, arrested when an off-duty police officer suspected this person sitting on the sunroof of the Cadillac while it was driving down the interstate. So this, I
How
can
did he have the gas pedals?
So he had his Cadillac set on cruise, was going over 100 miles an hour. Can you even imagine? This off-duty police officer was like, whoa, what just happened there?
Oh, my gosh.
So initially, this dude claimed, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And they said, hey, I saw you out the sunroof. There was nobody else in the car. And he goes, well, I had it on cruise control. And he said, I thought this would be a nice way to praise God for a minute. And that's what I did.
Oh, my gosh.
That is, you know what? That's also a nice way to meet God if you're not careful, because you could have caused a major accident. He's also being held for 4 felonies related to a domestic battery and some other things that he had going on. So,
gosh.
70 years old, had his car
Such a
set
bad idea.
on cruise, going over 100 miles an hour, sitting out the sunroof, steering with his foot. I mean,
It's beautiful.
that is a terrible idea. I kind of wish I would have seen it, though. Any dash cam footage? Because it's weird. Any other state, people go, what happened? This is in Florida. They're like, yeah, so?
And that's a Wednesday.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
Before you know it, Christmas will be here. Are you ready? If you plan to use a credit card while shopping, make sure you have the very best credit card for you. It's free to click around and see what we can do for you at bettercreditcards.net. We have options from many different banks and different credit card companies who put out their best offers to earn your business. See if we can help you get a better credit card at bettercreditcards.net. Bettercreditcards.net. That's bettercreditcards.net.
Now, these 3 things. Heidi, tell me, what do these 3 things have in common? Poker players, clocks, and farms. Poker players, clocks, and farms.
Numbers.
No, they all have hands. So poker players have a hand, clocks have hands, and farms have farm hands. I don't know if that's really fair, because farm hands, you need to put farm in front of it really to make that make sense.
Yeah, that's not.
There's not just hands on a farm.
Well, there are.
Yeah, but I'm not going to take any points away today. I'm going to let you keep those. For those of you that got that, extra credit for you, because that was a tough one. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always like to wrap things up around here with good news, and I think this is good news. It comes your way courtesy of ripitgloves.com, promo code radio. That's ripitgloves, R-I-P-I-T gloves.com. Take a listen to this story. A state trooper responds to a call of an injured dog. When he gets there, guess what he found?
What's that?
A puppy coyote. Yeah, it says here, Massachusetts state trooper responded to a call Sunday about a wounded dog. The type of dog was not quite what he was expecting. He got there, and he found a cute little frightened coyote pup. The pup's mama was nowhere in sight. Realizing the danger on this busy road, he decided he better contact a wildlife specialist and animal control officers, but nobody was available to assist. So that's when he called in a kennel in Revere, and the kennel's owner, Lisa Cutting, responded and helped the trooper get this puppy in a crate. And this, look how adorable this is. A cute little coyote pup. Look at that. Now I want one.
Sweet.
Till he grows up and chews my face off. The baby coyote's adventure was far from over. He went to This guy's girlfriend's home, and Beth, they're devoted animal lovers, and the pup stayed in a crate at her house overnight. As you can see from the photo, they took darn good care of the pup as well. The next day, he was transported to Tufts Wildlife in North Grafton, and he was examined and determined to be healthy. He's going to be transferred to care of wildlife specialists, so he's got a long ways to go before he gets back to normal, but they've certainly got him well on his way. I think that little pup is adorable, don't you?
He's adorable.
Can I bring home my own coyote pups?
If you can find one.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're free.
Yeah, they probably are. If you can catch one in the wild, they are free. Yeah, don't try that, though. That's a bad idea. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. I have a link to this cute puppy story, and I've got a link to all of my other fun stuff we talked about in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com.